And I will be your host this evening for the 2024 Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So as the radio voice of the Cavaliers, how about those Cavaliers in that win last night? I got in early this morning from Milwaukee, but I'm glad to be here. Although, anybody listen to the game last night? Oh, well, no, you don't hurt my feelings. But during the game last night, Casey, did you hear? I promoted the fact that I was going to be here, gave it a little plug, gave out a great big thank you to Casey Wolf. And then as we got to the bus after the ball game, I always replay a game in my head, calls that I liked, calls that I didn't like. And I thought about the fact that I thanked Casey Wolf during the broadcast for having me here tonight. And I thought, well, I blew that. I guess the guy I should really thank is Ryan McNaughton, right? Ryan can't be here tonight. So Ryan's a great guy. He does Amherst proud, and what a career he has had. So Casey, thanks to you, but it's my pleasure to fill in for Ryan tonight. You got me. That's what you got. So tonight we are here to honor one team and 5 special people who have excelled in athletics at Amherst High School. They have differentiated themselves from their peers with outstanding performances and achievements. We will also recognize a number of current student athletes who excelled at the Ohio High School Athletic Association state level during 2023, and we will recognize a very special person to the Comet athletic community. So we hope you sit back, enjoy, and really take in tonight as we honor this very special group of people. But before we start the ceremony, I think we should eat. Let's eat. So Chris Russo and his restaurant group in Amherst has catered tonight's dinner. They will be coming around to dismiss your table, so please wait until you are asked to go through the line. But enjoy your meal, and I'll be back in a few minutes to help induct this great 2024 class. So we'll get started in a few minutes, but right now, let's eat. Thank you. or two. So again, if we could have everyone please make their way back to their table. By the way, a quick item of business for those of you, and I would think in today's world, that's every one of you. For those of you that have your phone, if you could silence that or put it on some sort of buzz mode so that during the presentations and during the acceptances, we don't have a, excuse me, we don't have a cell phone go off. So again, if you have your phone, if you could please put it in a silent mode. And again, if we could have everyone please be seated. And again, you all went quiet on me. All right. By the way, before we get started, how about a great big thank you to Chris Russo and his staff for the outstanding meal here tonight. I thought it was just terrific. And I also want to say, this is the first time that I've been back in this gym in a few years. And first of all, it brings back awesome memories. It is the blessing, the privilege, the honor of my life to be the radio play-by-play voice of the Cavaliers. But I'll share with you, and I'm very public about it. I share it with everyone, including some Cavalier people the other night. I really miss high school sports. I love it. There's something special. There's something unique. There's something pure about high school sports. So for me to come back into a gym like this, which looks great. It's a lot more well lit than when I used to call games sitting right about here. But it brings back so many memories and so many things that I cherish about high school athletics. So for all the athletes and team being recognized here tonight, high school sports is something that you should treasure, that I treasure. I still come back periodically and do a couple of games for WEOL because I love it and I miss it. So I am honored to be here tonight. I really am. It's a pleasure to be here and sitting in this gym and thinking about some of the coaches and players that I had the opportunity to watch and call for Amherst, going all the way back to the Earl Haberfield days and John Rossitano right here in front of me. He was always to my left, stomping his foot and doing some crazy stuff, but just loved being in this gym. I really did. But with that being said, let's get started with tonight's recognition. Now, the committee for the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame has the opportunities in the bylaws to offer special recognition to current student athletes and current athletic teams for outstanding achievements during the last year. The committee has determined that annually they will take the opportunity to recognize any Steele High School student athlete or team who has competed at the state level at an Ohio High School Athletic Association competition during the past calendar year. So tonight, we recognize 28 student athletes. The following 2023 state qualifiers are with us tonight. And when your name is called, please come forward to receive your gold State of Ohio pin, signifying you as a state qualifier from Steele High School. So we will start with the boys bowling team members, Micah Mercado and Grant Taylor, along with Coach Steve Taylor. Congratulations. Boys cross-country team members include Luke Bowlesby, Henry Isaacs, Jacob Michael, Ty Perez, Zane Rhodes, Ben Susi, and Matthew Walker, along with coaches Rob Glatz and Eric Watts. Way to go, great job. At this time, recognizing girls cross-country state qualifier, Catherine Lowe. Congratulations, Catherine. And the boys track and field qualifiers include Luke Bowlesby, Ty Perez, and Devin Ramirez. Great job, congratulations. And again, ladies and gentlemen, how about one more time, a big round of applause for your 2023 Ohio High School Athletic Association state qualifiers. Now, each year, the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame Committee has the opportunity to select a person or people who display a passion for Amherst athletics. This year's honoree is about as Amherst Steel High School as they come. She was a fixture at the front entrance to the high school. Everyone who entered the building had the great pleasure to get to know her. Students hung out with her all day long. She knew everything that was going on in the building. If we had a big event that day, she knew of the event and who needed to be in school to participate. Thankfully, she cared enough to let us know if a student athlete had to miss school for any excused reason. She also kept tabs on who was late so that they could be tracked down. Not only was she a fixture in the building, but for many, many years, she was one of the main ticket takers at home football games. Mrs. Stack retired at the end of last school year, but she has left an everlasting legacy here at Amherst. It is with great pleasure that the committee of the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame awards Marie Stack with the 2024 Comet Spirit Award. Mrs. Stack. Why was it that when I showed up every time you would say, "Who are you?" I'm here to see Coach so-and-so. Many a times walking through that door. All right. Let's get to the moment that the 5 individuals and 1 team have been waiting for, their induction into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame. Our first inductee tonight is from a previous class. Jerry Pretty was selected as a member of the class of 2022. Now, Jerry is a 1949 graduate of Amherst. At the time of induction, the committee was unable to locate any family members to come and accept Jerry's induction. Amherst Hall of Famer Dennis Traster heard this at the induction ceremony back in 2022, and he went on a mission to locate Jerry's family. And from what I understand, if you ever need a private investigator, Dennis is going to be your man. So thanks to Dennis, we are going to give Jerry Pretty and his family the true recognition that he deserves. Jerry's children are here tonight to accept the class of 2022 induction into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame. Now, before we bring them up, let's remind you of Jerry's place in the Hall of Fame. As Amherst Hall of Fame MC, Ryan McNaughton, who I fill in for tonight, so eloquently presented in 2022, and I quote, "Jerry graduated from Amherst in 1949, and yet he remains the greatest shot and discus competitor in school history." Now, he was a big man for back in his times. This was 1949, and he was 6'3", which just didn't happen back then. And then he used those long limbs to win the 1949 state championship in discus. He followed that up by finishing runner-up in the shot and was named most outstanding male athlete at the meet. Now, Jerry also played on the football team, earning 4 varsity letters, and Jerry also played basketball. Pretty good there, too, because in 1948, he was named most valuable man on the team, coached by Arthur Thomas. Jerry would go on to attend Ohio Wesleyan University, and he immediately served notice. In the May 11th, 1950 edition of the Amherst News-Time, it said, "Jerry broke the school's shot put record in his very first year." But there's a caveat. Due to the rules of the day, that wasn't recognized. He was a freshman, and freshmen weren't eligible for varsity competition until the following year. And only varsity competitors could set or break records. But don't worry, he set 3 records in shot and discus as he matured. So Jerry also played football at Wesleyan. He was a co-captain. He was just a massively talented athlete. Following college, Jerry served as a lieutenant in the United States Air Force before spending decades working in the private sector. Upon his death in 2015, he was survived by his wife of 62 years, Helen, and she passed away in 2017. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jerry Pretty's son and daughter, John Pretty and Joan Pretty, to the stage to accept Jerry's induction into the class of 2022 of the Amherst Hall of Fame.
Hello, and thank you so much for finding us and giving us the privilege to share in this really cool tribute. It was 75 years ago. It's been a while. So in thinking about this, what do we say? What do we do? I stumbled across my basic guiding philosophy by my dad. He wrote this as a senior in high school as part of a project here, a class project. The teacher said it was very good. But I was struck by, he said, I won't read all of it, but just this one little piece that you can best be measured by the record of your achievement. Now then, he achieved some stuff, but then he goes on and says, this means cooperation, courtesy, truthfulness, unselfishness, cheerfulness, self-control, self-respect of others, and loyalty. It would be just like him to be uncomfortable receiving this kind of recognition, but he lived up to the other values, and I have spent my life trying to live up to them too. I also was real impressed that was a high school assignment. I don't recall anything quite that compelling. One last thought, too. He truly created the friendships and the loyalties that lasted a lifetime. he and his teammates from the football team, a couple of them, and his coach here would get together every year or two regularly for over 70 years. And you talk about how important that experience is right here in Amherst at this high school. Lifelong, for sure.
Dad taught me shot and discus. I got some of his size and his strength and almost none of his talent. But what he really taught me was to show up, because he believed in showing up every day for as long as you're needed to show up for all the people, all the things that you've promised to show up for. Now, John and I are 11 years apart and 600 miles apart, and we show up for our families, our communities, our work, and that means we don't get to spend a lot of time together. And so I really want to thank this committee and Dennis and the folks who tracked us down and said, if y'all want to come up, we'll do this again. And so I flew up from Athens, Georgia, came and got John in Indianapolis, and we have spent today driving all around middle and northern Ohio, going to the places that were important to our mom and our dad, going to Ohio Wesleyan, going to where they fell in love, going to where he set records, going to where our parents grew up, and coming here tonight. And we have been sharing stories and memories and lessons, sharing old memories and making new ones together. And this is a day that we'll remember for a long time. So thank you.
Well, that's just terrific. Thank you. So now we are on to the class of 2024 Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame. Our first inductee tonight was a very successful coach at Amherst. He is a 1928 graduate of Amherst High School. Robert I. Hubard played football at Amherst as well. Now, Robert made his mark after returning to Amherst as a teacher and a coach. Coach Hubard oversaw the football and boys basketball programs between 1933 and 1942. As a football coach, he had a 39-22 record. His best season, 1940, when the team went 6-0-1 with 6 shutouts. As the boys basketball coach, he led the team to 136 wins. That included the 3rd league championship since in 1935. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming 1928 Amherst High School graduate Robert I. Hubard into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame. And here to accept Coach Hubbard's induction are his daughter-in-law, Marilyn Hubard, and grandson, Ken Hubard.
My mom is here, but I'll come up and accept it by myself. It's a hard speech for me to make because I was only 7 when he died. I don't know anything about his professional career or his coaching. He was just grandpa to me. So I don't have any good stories about game time decisions or big plays or anything like that. I know if my dad was here, well, he wasn't born until after the coaching era was over, but he would have made up some good stories. So based on what the committee put together, he started coaching in 33, so we're talking about 91 years ago. I had to laugh when I saw the nomination form on the back of that spiral book. It says you have to coach a Marion L. Steele High School team, which my grandpa never did because there was no Marion L. Steele High School in the 30s. In fact, they had no dedicated high school building. They had all 12 grades in one building over at Central. But in lieu of that, he did work with the actual Marion L. Steel. So I guess it's who you know. He coached through 1942, which is when he left to go to war, along with a lot of other people. And then when he came back, I don't know, for whatever reason, he didn't go back to teaching. I guess he worked for a contractor for a long time and eventually was working as something to do with the superintendent's office. But I don't have a lot of stories, but I will tell you what my dad always said was that Grandpa was the Amherst coach with the all-time most wins. I don't know if that's still true, but at the time, after coaching for 10 years, and by virtue of coaching multiple sports, and also by virtue of just having good teams, he did have a lot of wins. Don't know if it's still a record, but that's kind of our family legend about him. And I like to think that his legacy as coach goes beyond that. As a teacher and a coach, especially at the high school level, his real job would be building up the kids and developing their skills and knowledge of the game, and instilling those intangibles that come with sports, like how to be how to be part of a team and how to have that resilience when you're down and that type of thing. And I think maybe those aspects of his work reached across these 91 years and maybe have contributed to some of these many banners that you see around. And there sure are a lot of them. Not too many from when I was here. There's a bit of a gap in the late 80s there. But I will tell you one story that I know about him. I can barely remember. I'm not sure if I'm even imagining this, but my mom said it happened. When I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, we had gone to a Veterans Day parade uptown here in Amherst with my grandpa and grandma, because they just lived around the corner from us. And I sat on the curb like kids do and watched the parade, and every time soldiers would come by, they knew him and they would say hi to him, and they called him Coach. Hi, Coach. And there were a lot of them, one after another. Hi, Coach. Hi, Coach. Hi, Coach. And this is like 1970 or 71, I'm not sure when exactly, but the point is it's literally decades after his tenure as coach. So I think that says a lot about the impact that he had on his players and on this athletic department and really on this community as a whole. And we're pretty proud of that. Just want to say one other thing on a personal level. I wish my dad could be here. He's the one that was pushing to get Grandpa nominated to this with help from my mom. And he lived long enough to know, to see the announcement, so he knew that we were going forward with the induction. He just didn't quite make it to today. My grandpa had 2 kids. My aunt is here, and we have 2 of the 6 grandkids and even a couple of the great-grandkids here. So I do want to say to the committee and the organizers of the Hall of Fame, we are very proud to have this honor and our family member. So thank you for that. It's greatly appreciated.
Very well done. Great job. So our next inductee, Courtney Jarvis Rua, was an elite volleyball and basketball player. So elite, she will be up here twice tonight. Now, when asked for a story on Courtney and her family, her Comet volleyball coach, Lori Kogan, shared this, and I quote Coach Kogan: "I had a hard rule about being on time when catching the bus for matches. The players knew that if they were late, the bus would be gone. I didn't wait on anyone. A 3:30 bus meant the bus left at 3:30. Now, on this particular night, we had an away match at Berea. I got on the bus, looked at my watch, and when the departure time rolled around, I told the bus driver, take off. I never looked back to see who was on or wasn't on the bus. I never did for any road trip, again quoting Coach Kogan. So we started pulling out, and someone yells from the back, "Courtney's not on the bus." I told them she knew the departure time and lived maybe 5 minutes away. She didn't have any railroad tracks to cross, so she didn't have any excuse to be late. I told the bus driver, "Keep going." About 5 minutes later, my phone rings, and it was Courtney. She said, "Coach, this is Courtney Jarvis. You left me." I told her the girls never told me she wasn't on the bus because I never would have left her. I turned around and said to the girls, so Courtney could hear, "Girls, why didn't you tell me Courtney wasn't on the bus?" Of course, they all screamed back that they had told me, and I begged to differ with them while talking to Courtney. I tried to assure her that I would never have left her had I known she wasn't with us. And of course, the whole time, Coach Kogan indicates here that she's laughing about this. Well, it wasn't long before Courtney and her mother caught up to us on the highway and followed us into the parking lot. Glad I wasn't on the highway that night. But I can remember Linda not being happy with her daughter. And Linda didn't have any time to get ready to go to the game because of how fast she had to try to get Courtney to Berea. Now, Linda planned on going back home before she went to the game. So Linda got out of the vehicle and said she was about to kill Courtney because she had to sit through the evening without being ready to go to the game. And Linda said Randy was going to kill both of them when he got home. Well, as we all know, Randy didn't kill them, but he said he didn't know if he could ever leave them home alone again on a game day. That's end of quote from Coach Kogan. Well, certainly at all other times, whether it was on a volleyball court or on a basketball court, Courtney showed up. She was named second team All-Ohio as a senior. She was Lorain County Miss Volleyball, Elyria Chronicle, and Morning Journal Player of the Year. Named first team All-District, first team All-Southwestern Conference, and first team All-Lorain County. Courtney was on 2 SWC championship teams in 2005 and 2007. As a basketball player, she was a member of the 2006 Elite 8 team that we'll be talking about and meeting later tonight. She was named in basketball first team All-SWC as a senior. After high school, Courtney continued her volleyball career at the University of Akron, where she was a 2-time captain and a member of the All-Mid-America Conference tournament team. That is quite some resume. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming 2008 Steele High School graduate Courtney Jarvis Rua into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame.
Kogan's never going to let me live that down. That used to be how she started like every meeting after that, was that she left me and took the bus. But I'm super nervous, so just bear with me. I stand and hang out with 8- and 9-year-olds all day at Powers, so. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank everyone who was on the committee and thought of me for this wonderful recognition, and my parents for the amazing nomination. I never thought that I would make it into our Athletic Hall of Fame, as I was consistently surrounded by exceptional talent and leaders throughout my 4 years at Amherst. I'm very proud and honored to be standing here in front of you today, besides my amazing fellow inductees. In particular, it means so much to be entering the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame with my husband, Ryan, who I'm so proud of. I want to thank my parents, Grandma, and Pap for their unconditional love, support, and confidence in me as a player in person. I cannot think of a single game where you guys weren't there and cheering me on. Through all of the traveling, and even on the days that were so hard, you were there to guide me and believe in me. It meant the world to me. You guys are what I always aspired to be. When I think back to all of the time that I spent here in this gym, I realized there was never any other place that I could have been. I lived for the moments that were after school here at practice, game nights, fundraisers, bus rides, and any other activity or event that I got to spend with my teammates. I lived for the cheese nips that I would eat for breakfast before Saturday basketball practices, the hours and hours spent in the gym in the summer, and the inside jokes that made my stomach hurt from laughing. Whether it was volleyball or basketball season, I remember the tight-knit bond we had together. I remember Coach Rossitano always said, "There's nothing like high school sports." At the time, I didn't truly understand what he meant, but now I get it. Those days and nights wearing Amherst across my chest to represent this wonderful community while getting to make memories with my best friends was the best feeling. Listening to my parents yell at me from the bleachers not to foul when they knew I couldn't resist, or hearing my dad's voice booming with boom shakalaka during an intense volleyball game after we won a point made those big games even better. There was nothing like playing in that kind of environment. I was so incredibly blessed that I was able to have Lori Kogan and John Rossitano as my head coaches. These two coaches, along with their staff, pushed me to work harder every day when I didn't think I had any more to give. I literally gave them all of my blood, sweat, and tears in this very gym because I trusted them, and they gave us their all every day too. They taught me what being on a team truly meant and how to be a leader. I still use those skills that I learned from being a member on their teams within my job and in my life. My parents recently told me a story about a meeting they had with Mrs. Kogan when I was a freshman in high school. Mrs. Kogan asked to have a meeting with my parents, and they talked about what position I would be most successful in. Many Division I college coaches always thought that since I was only 5'8", that I should be a libero or a defensive specialist, especially since I had always had really good, consistent ball control. So Mrs. Kogan wanted to know what my parents thought. Would I like to try to play in the front row, or should I focus being on the back row by being the libero, by being the libero for more opportunities for colleges to notice me? My parents said that they thought I would like to play in the front row and be an outside hitter. Mrs. Kogan said okay, and she never asked again. She believed in me and believed that I could still be successful and get a scholarship. She challenged me to get better every day, to push myself to work harder, to be the best possible version of myself that I could be on that volleyball court. Her patience, determination, dedication, and thoroughness are the reasons why so many of her athletes played at the next level. She expected you to give her your all, mentally challenged us time after time, and made you love the game. If it wasn't for Mrs. Kogan, I would not have ended up at the University of Akron, and I would not have fallen in love with the game of volleyball. Mr. Rossitano first coached me in 7th grade, and at that time, I had never had a coach like him. He was loud, he yelled, he got mad, but he had so much passion. His passion for the game and his players were contagious. Playing for him was easy. I mean, his practices were far from easy, but playing specifically for him was easy. He was able to get you to leave everything on the court. He pulled out your best, and he made sure that you gave forth your best effort always. No one would out-hustle us ever. He had the ability to pull out that passion for the game, to get you to dig deep in that daily grind, and instilled mental toughness, but not only for the game of basketball. Mr. Rossitano was helping us get ready for our future, for our relationships, and to be parents. So thank you to both Mrs. Kogan and Mr. Rossitano for your unwavering faith in me. Your support and tough love throughout my high school career is part of the reason why I became a teacher. Your passion, drive, and demand for greatness made all of the difference for me. Sports have always been a huge part of who I am, and it still is a huge part of me. It taught me to love hard, to make sacrifices, to have discipline, to balance my time, to work hard in my relationships. Sports dictated my life for so many years. It ran my schedule. It told me when and where I had to be. It brought so many wonderful people into my life. But as much as I loved the game, I found something that I loved more. Ryan. Sports have always been a part of mine and Ryan's relationship. We started dating in high school while we were working so hard to make it to the next level, playing volleyball and baseball somewhere in college. I loved looking over in the student section and seeing him at my games, or going to his games to watch him play. After we both got scholarships, I remember thinking at 18, will we make it since we're going to 2 separate colleges? How will we have time to see each other and balance our love for one another? But the lessons and attributes that we learned from our time playing sports helped us to always work and prioritize our relationship. As my time in college came to an end, my sports career was over, and Ryan's professional career was just beginning. My love for the game shifted, and I got to see that love through Ryan's eyes. I got to see him live out his dream, to see him make sacrifices, to see him play with passion, to have resilience, to be successful, and continue to be motivated by it. I loved watching him play as much as I loved playing. Now I get to watch him shape high school athletes' lives, instill the lessons we learned as players, as a coach himself. I hope that the qualities that sports have taught us will shine through in our own two kids, that if they choose to, they will fall in love with the game and aspire to have the same attributes. I loved every minute of every game that I was fortunate enough to play in. It is an honor to come full circle and to have both perspectives as a student athlete and now as an educator in our amazing community. I am truly appreciative of all the energy that Amherst has put into me, not only to be a successful athlete, but in life itself. Thank you.
Fantastic job. Well, I'm sure it's not the first time he's heard this. Ryan Rua has a tough act to follow. So our next inductee, Ryan Rua, was a baseball and basketball standout here at Amherst. Now, former Comet baseball coach Al McConaughey shares this on Ryan Rua, and I quote, "Ryan was an all-conference pitcher that drew the most difficult pitching assignments versus the toughest opponents in the SWC, Brecksville Broadview Heights and the Westlake Demons. He pitched successfully, which is a big reason why we won the conference back in 2008. Now, Coach McConaughey goes on to add about the 2008 championship season that Ryan was instrumental in our late season conference games. When Amherst beat North Olmsted in the last game of the regular season to clinch that SWC crown, Ryan was playing shortstop. With tying runs on base, he speared a line drive to close out the ball game and the win for Amherst. If that ball gets by Ryan, they probably tie the game. It was his pitching and key plays like this that led us to our tournament run that took us all the way to the regionals in 2008, end quote. So Ryan was a 4-year letter winner in baseball. As a senior, he was a member of the Mizuno All-Ohio team, and he was the Plain Dealer Player of the Year. And as previously mentioned, he was a member of the 2008 SWC Conference Championship team here at Amherst. In basketball, he earned all Southwestern Conference and all Lorain County honors. Ryan truly made his mark in baseball after high school. He attended Lake Erie College, where he played baseball so well that he became a draft pick of the Texas Rangers in 2011. He made the most of his opportunity with Texas as he ascended all the way to the major leagues, where he played for 5 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming 2008 Steele High School graduate Ryan Rua into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame.
Well, for being nervous, that was pretty good. Sad that I have to follow it, but first of all, I'd like to thank Casey, the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame, for not only having the chance to be nominated, but for officially being a member. So thank you for that. As my wife mentioned earlier, for us to be able to do this together, it makes it even more special. Being able to watch you, play basketball, play volleyball, were some of my high school memories from a non-individual standpoint. I enjoyed those games. I enjoyed watching your natural talent, and obviously your good looks drew me to those games too. So again, congrats to you, Courtney. Congrats to us. Couldn't be more than honored to spend the day with you. I would also like to congratulate Robert Hubard, his family, Christina Swiers, Coach John Rossitano, his staff, and the entire 2006 girls basketball team. I know this day doesn't necessarily pertain to this, but I wanted to give a special congratulations Matt Rossitano, who was inducted into the Lorraine Sports Hall of Fame. A big part of my life growing up with Amherst and baseball and basketball, so I want to give him that recognition as well. I know he's watching. I was hoping he'd be here so I could tell him about that, but congratulations to him. What he does for his Amherst baseball community on a day in and day out basis is a true testament and the right guy to have in place. Finally, to my family, especially my mom and dad, I can't thank you enough for all the sacrifices throughout the years to get me where I wanted to be and where I ended up. As I get older, I look back at it more and more, always taking me to practices, games, tournaments, camps, in your spare time, or taking work off to do so. Our summer vacations were always built around mine or Reese's tournament schedules for baseball or basketball, and I knew we wouldn't have wanted to have that any other way. Your unwavering support never faded, all the way back during my youth T-ball days in South Amherst until I achieved my dreams of playing in the big leagues in the 5 years that followed. I knew I could always count on your guys' support, so thank you for that. Growing up, in our family, there wasn't a day that went by that, the Cavs, Indians, Browns, or national champion Michigan Wolverines weren't on the TV. Everything we did as a family revolved around sports. And as a family, we wouldn't have had it any other way. Another special shout out to my mom. Obviously a mother of 2 sons and lived in the house with 3 boys. Everything we did revolved around sports. Vacations, like I said, games, weekends off. Never complained one bit. Always enjoyed it and always let us enjoy it too, so thank you for that. If you guys knew me when I was growing up, especially in Amherst, I was always one of the smaller kids on my teams, both baseball and basketball. So I kind of had to develop the attitude to play with a chip on my shoulder, which kind of came from my dad. I was never the biggest, fastest, or strongest until probably my sophomore year of college when I finally matured physically. That being said, I truly believe that every coach that I had from T-ball up until that point played a key role in my development, showing me fundamentals, teaching me tough love, making an example out of me, and playing each sport the right way, with passion and effort at all times. This may be an individual award today, but there are so many people that helped me get here and accomplish my goals and dreams along the way. I came over into Amherst public school system in 7th grade from St. Joe's. Totally different types of structure, but it helped me in so many ways. The administration, staff, and coaches that I dealt with daily pushed me to be the best person I could be on and off the field. If there was one person that had a lasting impact on my 4 years in this building and on the baseball field, it was my former varsity baseball coach and law and government teacher, Al McConaughey. Coach McConaughey was influential on and off the field in more ways than one. From the first time that I stepped foot in these hallways, he held me accountable and challenged me as much as he could. He gave me the opportunity to see the field early in my high school career and continued to push me up until graduation. He taught me how to lead by example and thrive in pressure situations. Because of his coaching and perseverance, we were able to put together one of the deepest runs in the state tournament that this high school has ever seen from a baseball standpoint. I also got to spend 2 years, like I said, with him in the law and government class, which only forged our relationship further. His passion, not only for baseball in the Amherst community, but the Amherst community in general, is unmatched. So thank you for that, Coach McConaughey. For the past couple of years, Coach McConaughey has taken time out of his summer and winter to coach for our baseball organization and the baseball organization that I run here in Avon, where we have over 30 teams and 500 kids from ages 9 to 18. Those kids travel from anywhere from Perrysburg to Ashtabula down to Ashland to play for our organization. Coach McConaughey is a mainstay in the organization and helps us out in his spare time as well. Coach, so thank you for that. As my high school baseball career started to excel, I was getting looked at by Division III colleges mainly because of my size. There was one Division II school in general that took a chance on me. That program was Lake Erie College, located in Painesville, Ohio, and was actually led by an Amherst alum, Brian McGee. college experience is different for everyone, especially being away from your parents for the first time on a daily basis. Lake Erie College was the perfect fit for me. It was a small school, not much to do on or off campus, with not many distractions. So I developed even more of a serious work ethic and learned how to work on my own. Coach McGee acted like a father figure to not only myself, but all members of the Storm baseball team. If anyone ever watched him play or coach as an individual, the one thing that stood out about Coach McGee was that he had an incredible passion, not only for himself and his teammates, but the organization that he was running or playing for. He instilled the ultimate trust in me enough to start me at shortstop as a freshman, playing in the best Division II conference in America against 20 and 21-year-olds. Because of this, my confidence soared. I was able to excel as a freshman, which many people were not able to do. From there, I continued to mature physically and mentally under Coach McGee's guidance. His connections placed me in South Carolina that freshman summer and the following summer in Cincinnati to compete against further Division I athletes to show what I was capable of doing. I value our relationship and our friendship more than he may know. Because of him, I was given an opportunity and made the most of it. Without Lake Erie College and Brian McGee, there is no way I achieved my dream of playing pro ball, yet alone 5 years in the big leagues. So I thank you for that, Coach McGee. Minor league ball, not as glorious as it may seem. A lot of bus trips, a lot of random hotels, but being from small town Amherst, I was lucky to see different parts of the world that I never thought I would see, or the United States. From Spokane, Washington to Hickory, North Carolina to Frisco, Texas, I got to see some cool places all over the country. In and out of these hotel and random bus trips, Courtney and my family always made me feel like I was still somewhat close to home. As we got into the major leagues in the year 2014, achieving my ultimate dream and having my family and fiance at the time in Houston, Texas to watch me open up against the Astros meant everything to me. The outpouring of support from the Amherst community made it even more special. From my first hit to multiple American League West champagne celebrations with my teammates and playing in the MLB playoffs, one moment will always stand out. Coming home and hitting a home run at Progressive Field during my return home against Cleveland will always be the moment that I never forget. The number of times that our family was there in the summer, from as early as I can remember, made that moment special. Because up until that moment, I always dreamed of playing on that field and being able to achieve something like I did. Number of coaches, friends, family, and former teammates in the stands that day and that whole series made it some of the most enjoyable moments of my life. To achieve the level of play that I reached comes with a couple of things. One being, like I mentioned, everyone that helped me to get there, and the second, that would be some sort of luck in general. It is a long process, and I was lucky to attend Amherst Steel High School and Lake Erie College, and I think because of those, I was meant to be. The rest was continued good fortune by staying healthy and transcending through the minor leagues, but most importantly, being able to perform in big situations. Like I mentioned earlier, that's a credit to everyone that helped me and put me in those situations when I was younger. Everything happened for a reason, and I am at peace with how it ended from a career standpoint. There are a couple things, one mainly that Coach Rossitano and I talked about as I was playing that I kind of regret. Obviously not playing long enough or making enough money to donate back to the baseball team to be able to put some turf in and help those guys out with how successful they've been. But hopefully, we can get Casey Wolf and Superintendent Molnar up to Ziggy's, and we can have some drinks later, and we'll talk about that, and we'll try to get that rolling. One thing that my athletic journey taught me is how crucial it is to have important people in your life. These people will impact you in ways that you may not know at this time, but you will eventually realize how crucial the guidance actually was. Family will always be the most important thing to me, and God willing, I cannot wait to spend the years ahead watching my own family grow and chase their dreams. If you knew my dad, you knew he was very hard on me at different times for the right reasons to push me. And one thing that stood out before he passed 2.5 years ago was, seeing me achieve my dreams and everything he worked towards to get me to the big leagues. He said his best memories were hanging out with our two kids now and getting to see them before he passed. So to wrap it up, I'm very proud of where I came from, Proud to raise my kids in the same school district that I grew up in. Proud that my wife is able to teach in this school district. And overall, just proud to be an Amherst Comet. Thank you.
Great job. Congratulations, Ryan. I mentioned earlier that I spent a lot of time in this gym and calling high school sports. But how old am I getting? You know, when Ryan Rua says, "Thank you, Mr. Alcorn," like, wow. You can call me sir. You don't have to call me Mr. Alcorn. Great job. Yeah, Ryan, you were fun to call. There's no doubt about it. Man, years fly by. All right, our next inductee called some of her games. Christina Swiers Hunt was a softball standout here at Marion L. Steele High School. Now, when asked about Christina, her Comet softball head coach Bill Matthews had this to say, and I quote, "Christina put in thousands of hours outside of practices pitching to her dad, Tom Swiers. She ran hundreds of miles on her own. She was in great shape, and that allowed her to pitch just as well in the last inning as she did in the first inning. It didn't matter the length of the game. We had a 12-inning game versus Sims Valley, where Christina struck out 21 batters. All of this training benefited her too. She moved on to college where she lettered in cross country along with softball," end quote from Coach Matthews. Now, Christina was second team All-Ohio and Lorain County Miss Softball as a senior. She was the Southwestern Conference Player of the Year in both her junior and senior years, and her pitching numbers simply staggering. She set the following school records while here at Amherst: 4 no-hitters, 799 career strikeouts, 263 strikeouts in a season, and she hurled 14 career shutouts. After high school, Christina attended both Cleveland State and the University of Akron. In her 1 year at Akron, she set a single-season record for innings pitched, and she was named All-Mid-American Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, with those numbers, let's welcome 2004 Steele High School graduate Christina Swiers into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame.
$799 strikeouts. My husband asked me why I couldn't get one more. Good evening. It's an absolute honor to be inducted into the Amherst Hall of Fame. I am so excited to be here with my family from California for the weekend and to show my kids and husband around my high school where I grew up. I'd first like to thank my high school coach, Mr. Bill Matthews, for his constant support and instilling in me the skills I needed to be my best. He taught me about hard work, time management, and the important lesson that being on time actually meant being early. Even though he showed up late to my wedding reception. His motto is, if you are early, you are on time. If you are on time, you are late. If you are late, you are gone. I wasn't as harsh as he would have been and did let him stay at my reception since he had a good excuse for being late. He was coaching a softball game. I still use that motto to this day, and I'm usually on time to everything, even with 3 kids. I'd also like to thank my pitching coach, Mr. Dave LaFew, for teaching me all of the proper mechanics to get me pitching fast and accurately. Not to mention teaching me how to throw a killer changeup that I used to trick my opponents frequently. I will never forget all of the pitching lessons he gave me in his basement, even after some wild pitches broke a few light bulbs. Pretty sure my dad picked up the bill on those extra repair costs. I would like to thank my high school softball team for such a fun 4 years. I always loved the quote, "Offense wins games, but defense wins championships." Pitchers cannot be successful without a team playing great defense behind them. One of my favorite memories from high school softball was the bond I made with Alyssa Kaczynski-Daniels, who was our second baseman and saved our team from a lot of close calls. We had a blast playing together on and off the field. I can't forget to thank my sisters, Cheryl and Rebecca, for their contribution to my softball career by constantly getting in trouble. They had to catch pitching practice for me as their punishment. And without the two of them chasing after all of my wild pitches down Ford Avenue, I would have never gotten here. And lastly, I'd like to thank my parents, Tom and Karen Swiers, for their endless support. My mom for running a busy household while my dad and I were always away at softball. My mom also saved every single newspaper article featuring my softball achievements, and even made copies of them to mail to a summer ball coach that had once cut me from his team. When that coach told me I would never make it, my parents always believed I would. And thank you to my dad for being the best coach of all, and for putting in countless hours driving me to private pitching and hitting lessons so that I had the tools to be the best. He never missed a game, and without my parents' support, I could have never achieved my dream of earning an athletic scholarship playing softball for Division I collegiate programs. Thank you again. It's an honor to be inducted into the Amherst Hall of Fame.
Awesome job. Congratulations. So, we have one more to go. Our final inductee tonight is the 2006 girls basketball team, led by head coach John Rossitano and assistant coaches Chad DeFranco, David Rossitano, and Lacey Reichert. This group of 11 young ladies took the Amherst community on an unbelievable ride all the way to the regional finals, the Elite Eight at Norwalk High School. Now, it says in my script here that I'm supposed to share a story or two from my experience in covering this basketball team, which was one of the great runs that I've had an opportunity to cover and broadcast when I was at WEOL. This team was special. And Casey Wolf called me right in the middle of a Cavs practice the other day. And I said, "Casey, I have all the score sheets from those games. And I'm going to go back and look at some of those score sheets." Yes, I'm a pack rat. If any of you want your score sheet from when you played however many years ago. But it's amazing when I look at these sheets just how good this basketball team was. And I look at some of the names. I don't know how many of them are here tonight, but you think about how special this team was. Now look at the district semifinal win over Berea, 49-34. And look at the district championship win over Elyria High, 45-31. Elyria did not have a double-digit quarter that entire game. On to the regional, beat Toledo Wake, 61-53. Says right here on my score sheet. Audra with 30, 13 of 16 from the free throw line, including 8 of 10 in the final quarter. I have a theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have a theory that teams take on the personality of their head coach. And you've heard before about John Rossitano. You heard Courtney describe him as passionate. That was that team. That team was as passionate and as hungry and as energetic to win as any basketball team I've ever seen. And one thing about a John Rossitano coach team, you play hard. You play hard. And it's funny, 18 years later, as I look at these score sheets, I remember doing my pregame interview with then Elyria girls head coach, Mike Walsh, great friend of John's, except when they were on opposite benches. But I asked Mike, I said, man, this Amherst team is so good. So good. What makes this team so good? And I never forgot this. And I remember it like I was interviewing Mike last night. He said, Tim, it's a John Rossitano coach team, and they play hard for 32 minutes. And at the high school basketball level, that's extraordinary. Some coaches, they'll get their team to play hard, 28, 29, but there's always a minute or two where they back off. That's never the case with Amherst, and that's a true credit to John. And that was that team. They played hard for 32 minutes, and it was a joy to watch them play with the energy and the effort and the passion that they played with. It was one of the most special teams that I had the honor of covering in all my time at WEOL. So I had a lot of fun earlier today looking back on those score sheets. It brought back some great memories, and certainly, as much as I said before, I'm blessed and honored to have the job I have now. That was extraordinary. That was special. This 2006 girls basketball team was so good, school record good, 23 wins against 2 losses. Southwestern Conference champions. Following the regional semifinal win over Toledo 8, the game that I referenced, John Rossitano told the Amherst News Time, quote, "The girls have shown great character all year long. When it comes to making plays, kids with character make plays." Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 2006 girls basketball team into the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame.
A couple thank yous before I start. I'd like to thank Casey Wolf, the athletic director, for putting on this great event here. It's terrific. Mr. Molnar for his support as superintendent of Amherst City Schools. Dave Zavara as the committee member for this event, who does a great job. You know, Tim said exactly right. The team back in 2006, the characteristics they had were they played with passion. And they played with an energy, and more importantly, you find a common characteristic of all teams that are really, really good. And this one was that they played to win. Winning was the most important thing to these girls, and they won a lot. And when they come up here, just the quality of the young ladies was unmatched at that time, and I was proud to be part of it. So at this time, can we call up the 206 team? Please, come on up. It's not good. I thought it'd be a little bit nice or different to have one of our players introduce the players and say a few things. Audra Mahalik was a team captain on that team, a terrific player. And I don't like to single out players, but I'm gonna. She was a terrific player, and I think her energy and passion for the game of basketball rubbed off on the rest of the players. And I'd like her to introduce the players that are here tonight and to say a few things. And I'm sorry? You can talk. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you can talk. Come on, Bob. Come on. Oh, yeah, come on.
Sorry. I just told Tim Alcorn that he made me cry, so like literally like, thanks a lot. Anyways, It's an honor to be speaking here tonight as the 2006 girls basketball team is inducted into the Amherst Sports Hall of Fame. There's one word that would describe our team that year. It was the slogan of our team that we prided ourselves on, and the word is passion, which you spoke on, Courtney spoke on, everybody. We had so much passion. Every player on this team showed up and worked as hard as they could, day in and day out, and would leave everything they had on the court, whether it was in practice or games. I am grateful to have played with an amazing group of young women and the synergy our team had. That year was truly something special, and the amazing work ethic our team had was undeniable. Thank you to my parents, my teammates' parents, grandparents, and all the family that might or might not be here tonight that were always there for us and supported us each and every night. Although some of them might only be here with us in spirit now, everyone that was involved with this team had a major part in our accomplishments. Thank you to Coach Rossitano and the rest of the coaching staff for cultivating and motivating our team to be the best that we could be. Thank you to Tim Alcorn, prior WL announcer, who just made me cry, now Cavs announcer, for being here tonight. And then I was talking about recently when I came across the recap of the Toledo 8 game, like literally, I felt like I was reliving the game. I didn't even know there was a Tim Alcorn archives, but it was amazing. And like literally, like I felt like I was reliving the game and those unforgettable and thrilling plays that happened in the Norwalk gym that night with everybody. And like Coach Rothstein always said, there's nothing like high school sports. I think Courtney mentioned that, but my memories from this time, and especially this 2006 basketball team, will be with me forever. Lastly, thank you to my teammates, as every player had a crucial role for the team. Another reason we are here tonight. It's my honor to now introduce our 2006 Amherst Lady Basketball Hall of Fame team. Sorry, that was a lot. Allison Theobald, come on up. Come on up here. Get up here, girl. Come on up here. Miranda Zooks. Sorry, I'm going out of order. Courtney Jarvis Rua. Amazing volleyball player also. Olivia Slyman. What's your married name? Oh my God, I don't remember your married name. I'm sorry, I don't remember everybody's married name. Allison Marty. Not like shaking. Sasha Samara. Oh, Lord. Lost the microphone. Huh? Coach Lacey Reichert. Where are you? Oh. Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. No, okay. Coach Chad DeFranco, where are you at? Oh, yeah. What about the people? And the people that couldn't be here tonight with us? Actually, hold on, I need a hug. Please. The people that, or the players that couldn't be here with us tonight, Callie Butcher, Maddie Sophia, Nicole Brewer, and Jenny Myers, who also had an amazing pivotal role with our team and how far we went and our success. So, yay! Thank you very much.
I cannot believe you still have the net when you're wearing it.
So as they're passing out their plaques, Audra, can I tell the wedding story? So for many, many years, aside from working in radio to supplement my income, I DJ'd. Clubs, weddings, parties, that sort of thing. So I don't know how many years it was after 2006, but I was DJing a wedding, and this woman walks up in very proper wedding attire, not in the wedding, but as a guest. Tim Alcorn, Tim Alcorn. I'm like, yes? It's me, Audra. Audra. Of course, when you're at a wedding and a woman comes up and says, it's me, it's Audra, you're, Audra Mahalik. I'm like, Audra Mahalik. Now, you got to remember, I had been used to watching Audra Mahalik run around with her hair up and sweating, and it was just the most bizarre circumstance because you're not used to seeing people out of their element. But we shared some stories that night about that 2006 season, and again, what an incredible run it was. What an amazing run. And I am getting very old. When you can go into the Alcorn archives, wow. If they're archiving my stuff, that's not good. No, that was a feature we did on WEOL a few years ago, and it was a lot of fun to look back on some of the great games. All right, well, a guy who has seen a lot of games over his years is sitting to my right, your left, and I understand that we're going to offer him an opportunity to say a few, David, just a few words. So, ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for Dave Zavara, the president of the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame.
See this, Tim? That's a few words. Not. Oh, look what I found. Yes, I'm the president that does nothing except at the Hall of Fame speak at the end. To fill in some misinformation about the inductees, or Mr. Alcorn, who tells me not to speak very much, but he's been going on for a long time here, telling his stories of archives. First of all, before we get into that, I'm going to have, what do they call that, peace offering? Well, the gentleman I'm going to talk about, him and I argue every morning, every day, every afternoon, every night, like basketball games, what have you. But he busts his tail to put this together 7 years ago, Hall of Fame banquet, not a graduate of Amherst, but he's been working here too long, Mr. Monar, 11 years. But he does a great job of putting this together. And at this time, I think we deserve to give Mr. Wolf a great round of applause. To the high school athletes who finally quieted down, we're at the beginning, I congratulate you. But as you saw today with these so-called Hall of Famers up here, is that they played multi-sports. They didn't play one, they played many. And I think if you're young enough, you should do as many things you can. Like Mr. Rosenthal said, high school comes around one time. High school sports is great to play. Enjoy them all. And if you know of any female golfers that want to come out, I'll be glad to coach them up. Well, obviously, we have Tim Alcorn here. Ryan Rua is watching us on Comment Live, I guarantee you. And it wouldn't be right if I didn't pick on him. And ever since now, he got into Gallery of Success. He is a past president of Syracuse alumni. We can no longer afford him. So, Ryan, you might want to get a sponsor because you're not coming back. Just kidding. Speaking of Comment Live, Doug back there and all his young students, thank you very much for the coverage. Again, you don't realize how many times Comment Live is around in the area. And he does a great job, and the kids do a great job, and thank you very much. And I almost forgot I got to behave myself because over here is a guy that I think is a minister or something, so I got to watch what I say. Sorry. Don't worry, I'm going down there. I got a lot of friends come with me, so don't worry, I'm okay. And Tim, it was good seeing you. We go back, way back. We have a lot of fine memories. Don't ask him where I live because he knows the address by heart. Also, Tim, I know earlier you used the facility. I was going to warn you earlier that it's okay to use facility because the person that bothered you way back when, many years ago, is not here this evening, so it's okay for you to go. If you care to hear the rest of that story, I'll see you uptown. We'll talk about it. Along with the turf. We might get Mona up here, but this guy back here is kind of boring. We have many special guests here this evening, but we have one that is really special. State of Ohio Teacher of the Year, Mr. Mark Lowry. Where you at, buddy? Stand up, buddy. We lost the going there, but rumor has it, I talked to Mr. Wolf, we may look at your application again for the Hall of Fame. Many years ago, he put one in that was a very sarcastic. The thing that didn't get him in there is he told us that he spent nights at the field house after football games, so he thought he was dedicated. Mr. Glatt's still here? There he is. Mr. Glatt's my buddy. Boy, I put this note down long time ago. We run many track meets here. And sometimes our starters need a wireless mic so the kids can hear it because they're staggered. So I called Mr. Glatz. I go, Mr. Glatz, where's a wireless mic? He said, well, it's either in the choir room or in the press box. Okay. So Glatz says, I'll tell you what. I'll go check the choir room. You go to the press box. He runs 2 to 5 miles a day. I'm lucky to go 2 to 5 steps, and I'm taking my old fart butt up the press box. He calls me on the phone. He goes, hey, I got it. It's in the choir room. Good, I'm up here trying to catch my breath. Stack, you nervous? Oh, yeah. You should be. There's another person that we go way back. Her and I used to do senior dances together. And like Tim Alcorn, I got laid off from the steel mill, so I started DJing. And we used to do senior dances. And they were great. Did a great job organizing that stuff. And our goal was, at the end of the night, that the seniors weren't crying. We'd try to pick the saddest song we could, and we did a heck of a job doing that, didn't we? And then a real quick story. We used to have a lunch bunch, 10 or 12 of us. Oh, what a lunch bunch. And it was right next to the cafeteria. And one day, we were laughing so hard, our bellies were hurting. Stack might have wet herself because she was laughing so hard. The principal comes in and says, there's 300 plus students over there in the cafeteria. There's 12 of you, and you're louder than they are. We go, hey, we're having fun. Have a nice day. To the Hubards and Greedies, congratulations. One thing about we have to do as a committee, and thank God, and I'm not picking on your age, Cookie, but the older athletes, or elder athletes, however you want to put it, way back when, back then they didn't have All-State, All-Ohio, what have you, so their credentials ain't this big. But they were good. They were very good people, and they deserve to be in here. And so, again, I'm sure Tim may at the end, but in order to get in here, we have to have someone nominate them. We don't pick them. I mean, we pick them once they get nominated. So if you know of someone, either recent or older, please nominate them so we can get them in here. But they deserve to be in there. And again, I think I told you, if your dad was here and Wade was up here, it'd be more better comedy act than mine. He was great. That man was fantastic. I remember one time we had in-service, and he was doing a slide presentation. There was no projector or screen, but we're all watching it. I'll never forget that. One of the best in-services we ever had. I don't remember the other ones anyway. And going back to, I'm going to say it right, pretty, is that right, correct? Pretty. Well, guess what? We have a gentleman here this evening that played against your dad. Bruno. Unbelievable. He He had to kick your butt because you're small. Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. And then, wait a minute. Did you play with the cigar in your mouth, or was it after the game? He comes every game with a cigar in his mouth. And I go, you can't smoke in here, which he's not. And then last night, he's up there going like this to me. I really don't love you, okay? Just so you know that. All right, just checking. I'll tell you what, I hope to get your age. But maybe I'll help with him over there. Christina, if I was you, I would double check those books. Come on, one strike? I know, that could got you bigger bases. And also, hey, we want to thank you for those 4 years that you had of being such a great softball player. Because you know why? Our family had the best 4 years back then because Bill smiled. He was fun to be around. He even bought me a few drinks once in a while. Now, if you come over tomorrow to our house, different Bill. Look, he's smiling now. And then we have the Jarvises. First of all, I know the whole story. I hope you had time to get dressed this evening. Because when you went to that game, I think you forgot a few things. And then, Dad Jarvis, I used to love your cheers in volleyball. Loved them. It was very fantastic. You were great people, very supportive, very nice. On that category, we now know who is the best athlete in the Rua family. Courtney. Multi-sports. Right? Her class got her T-shirts. Team Rua, Hall of Famer. And what, Friday they surprised you with that? Yeah, what did T3 do you for, Ryan? Nothing, yeah. Plus, hey, Ryan, you got enough turf at the T3. Bring some over here, all right? The girls' basketball team, I was at that game, and it's not your fault you lost that game. It's not coach's fault. It's the AD we had back then. Mr. Ross, Mr. Frauenbach, and myself were at the baseline at Norwalk. I never forget this. We're standing there watching you guys roll, 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 and dumb Frauenbach goes, we're going to go to state. Everything turns sour. I go, what are you thinking? It's like telling the guy, you got a no-hitter going. One out to go. And then, ladies, we are so happy that you got inducted because Mr. Russ Tunnel finally found out who his assistant coach was. We're in this lobby over here, John, myself, and the so-called assistant coach, Chad DeFranco. And we're talking about congratulations, and Chad says, yeah, I coach. John says, you were my assistant? Now, John, how can you forget your assistant coach who picked your butt twice? He sat in gum twice during the season. Chad picked it off for him. Now, that's what I call assistant. Oh, I'm sorry, assistant. I never saw John sit down. He picked 2 times to sit down. Wasn't that a good choice? Now I know why he stands all the time. Now I know why he puts his hand back here all the time. Checks he got gum. Because his brother ain't going to pick his butt. Before I forget, the awards that you have, they're very nice. At the end here, once you get done talking, pick up your boxes. They're underneath that table there, so you can put them in there and take them home safely. All right, don't go up to Ziggy's and show them off, okay? Again, congratulations to all the inductees. Thank you all for coming. I think it was a great evening. If anyone cares to do this afterwards, Coach Rostano reserved upstairs Ziggy's. So if you want to come up there and talk a little bit and what have you, and John might reach in his pocket and buy us some pizza, okay? Or he might buy something else, I don't know. But again, thank you very much, folks. I appreciate it, and have a great evening.
All righty. Well, that's going to just about do it. There's a couple of closing items. Dave Zavara is always a tough act to follow. So I just want to reiterate what I said earlier about high school sports. It's so special. And the memories that are created, the relationships that are developed, the impact that coaches have on athletes, it's absolutely amazing. And it stays with student athletes for the rest of their lives. And I'll tell you a quick story and then we'll wrap things up. So yesterday in Milwaukee, I was at shoot-around for the Cavs and the Bucks last night. And George Niang with the Cavaliers is from Methuen, Massachusetts. That's where he grew up. Not far, actually, from where I lived in New England. Well, on the other side, for Milwaukee, Pat Connaughton. Now, Pat Connaughton grew up in Arlington, Massachusetts. Now, you think about NBA players or any professional athletes, whatever the case may be. I mean, these are guys that went to Michigan and Duke and wherever, right? So I'm sitting there with George Niang. I said, George, Connaughton for the Bucks. Did you ever play against him in high school? Boom. His eyes lit up. Hell yeah, I played against Pat Connaughton. And he started telling stories. And time in and time out, when I ask a professional athlete about their high school days, time on a hardwood, time on a football field, a baseball diamond, those high school memories come flooding back to them. And to a person, they will tell you it is the most special time they've had as an athlete. Because their parents, their grandparents, their neighbors, their family and friends are sitting in the stands, rooting for them, supporting them. The friendships that they develop on those courts, on those football fields, on those baseball or softball diamonds, they never end. The relationships that they develop with coaches. They've had myriads of coaches since they left high school. But it's the high school coaches that develop the characteristics in them that lead them to success. So what you guys do for the Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame is extraordinarily special. It brings back great memories. It allows people to develop the relationships that started at the high school level. And I'm telling you, high school sports is the absolute best. I work for a multi-billion-dollar league, but there's nothing like sitting in a high school gym. There's nothing like freezing your butt off on a high school baseball or softball diamond, or climbing up rickety steps in a football press box. It's special. You remember it for the rest of your life. And that's what a Hall of Fame does. It allows those memories and allows those stories and allows all of that to continue on forever. And that's absolutely amazing. So congratulations to you guys. So ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of closing items. First, before everybody disperses to Uptown, they would like all inductees to please meet in the lobby so they can get group photos in front of the Amherst backdrop. So again, all inductees, please head to the lobby once things are concluded. Next, please look at the back cover of your Hall of Fame program. The Amherst Athletic Hall of Fame only gets better with your help. The committee can only select from who is nominated. And I do this for several local Hall of Fames, Elyria, Lorraine, and the like. You can only put in the Hall of Fame someone who's been nominated. So please take the time to think about well-deserving candidates. And Amherst has had a wealth of terrific athletes and coaches. Submit those candidates to the committee by July 31st so they can continue to make this Hall of Fame the absolute very best it can be. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. If you're looking to take tonight into overtime, the upstairs at Ziggy's is reserved for this group. Bruno's buying. Yeah. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.